Okay, what's up, Blue Room family? Welcome to the Blue Room podcast. And like I said before, every episode, I bless the mic because I got something to say. I rock headphones because I'm listening twice as much as I talk. I've learned that I got to listen to other people with different perspectives. And today, we're going to chop it up today about why men in society need faith. Okay, I just believe that faith or quote unquote religion, we'll get into it specifically. I just think that that's something that society needs. But before I get into that, if you like content like this and you want to move your life forward, again, I need you to hit that subscribe button. I need you to hit the subscribe button. This is the Blue Room Podcast, where we are challenging men about the subject of marriage, money, mental health, faith, and community. So we gonna get right into this. I got two guests on here. I met one through a big head friend I got, but she's pretty cool. But I got him on here today. I'll let him introduce himself. And then I got one of my personal friends. We always talking and chopping it up about significant and insignificant things. My boy Garrett Daniels. So I'm gonna let some people might know Garrett. So I'm gonna let Steve start off. Tell the people who you are. Tell them something interesting about you. I already talked to you about me being a Cubs fan and you got a Sox hat on, but that's cool with me. And I got a red shirt on with blue on. Maybe it's just the chemistry we got on here. So go ahead, Steve. You go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Sure thing. Hello, people. Hello, world. Beautiful people. As I like to say, I am Stephen Carter. I am saved, family man. I have been married for 8 years. Just had my eighth anniversary on July 31st. I have 4 children, one from a previous relationship, and then three with my current wife now. I'm a thrill seeker. I'm a thrill seeker that loves people, believes in people, and wants to just empower people to live a fulfilling life. That's all I'm about. And when I say thrill seek, I mean like really mean it, like first time when a plane jumped out of it. That's the type of thrill seek I am.
You
And
know,
that's
I was
kind
a
of a
Yeah.
that's how I think. I'm like, man, you got to define thrill for me, bro. Like, I
yes,
just need to
exactly.
know. I'm just kind of nosy or naturally curious about everything. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead, Garrett.
All right. Hey, everybody. Hope y'all doing well out there. My name is Garreth Daniels. I'm originally from a small town in South Georgia called Thomasville, Georgia. Made my way to Chicago, 20 years ago. Met my wife here, got married, been married for about 15 and a half years. We got 3 kids, love sports. I'm a huge sports person. And similarly, I love having conversations like this to hopefully add value to other people's lives, as well as gain something for myself, learn some new things. I'm all about learning new things and different perspectives and challenging perspectives both ways, both my perspective and others, so you can learn and grow together, iron sharpen iron kind of thing. So looking forward to the conversation today and appreciate you inviting me on, Mikhail.
Okay. And I also happen to know that Steve is an entrepreneur. I don't know if he wants to plug himself or not, but it's just certain things I know about him. And I think that's an interesting fact. Okay, my name is Mikhail. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. I have a job that I absolutely love. I'm a clinical division director, but I've also been a Christian. I got saved when I was in college. I've also been a pastor. I got out of ministry because I wanted to invest directly into my kids. I didn't want to be that guy whose kids didn't know who he was, but he had this big old church, and I was on that trajectory. So I decided to not get out of the life of a believer, but I decided to get out of pastoral ministry as me actually being a pastor. I have 3 kids, and that's enough about me. I do want to chop it up about this topic, and I saw some of my frat brothers on Facebook talking about this, and it challenged me about men. I think I'm going to bluntly say it. I think men need faith and they need religion, or religion and faith, however you want to perceive it. I think we need that to not only be men, I think we need it to be married. I think we need it to establish order. I think we need it to truly experience what success and wealth is. I think we need it for everything. And I think it's an element of the world that's missing. What I found as I get older, that one of the only institutions on earth, and if you got more, you let me know. But there are not many institutions on earth outside of the religious community right now that teaches ethics and teaches virtue. And I challenge people to show me the big organizations that do this. Most of them are faith-based organizations. Now, I'm a born-again believer. I believe that Jesus Christ died for my sins. I have to put out there so you know the perspective that I'm coming from. I do not consider myself a traditional Christian, dude, but I do believe in the blood, the book, and the blessed hope. That's what the old folks used to tell me. Now, the only thing I want to point out is this, is I think that faith has to be the foundation of any and everything. Okay. Some people have a problem with the word religion, and some people like the word faith. Some people don't like the word faith, but they like the word religion. People don't like the word church, they like the word spiritual. Just for the sake of the discussion, the faith means complete trust or confidence in something. And it's the strong belief in the doctrines of whatever faith that is. So you do have, it's complete trust or confidence in something, which I think is totally important, and the belief in those doctrines, right? So a person can be a person of faith, but according to this definition, if you are a person of faith, you have to connect it to some doctrine. So you can't just say I believe in something, but you don't have a way that polices or governs your life. You know what I'm saying? Because people have faith, but it's not really rooted in anything. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like people just say I got faith in something. Okay, you can't have faith in your wife unless you have a wife. Okay, you can have faith in marriage, but if you ain't married, it really doesn't make a difference. Meaning that faith is something you have a strong belief in, but it's actually you have strong belief in the doctrines or the disciplines or the rudiments or the fundamentals of whatever that faith is. Y'all with me, right?
Yeah.
Religion, religion is the belief in worship of a superhuman power, which is connected to a god or gods. Okay. And then it's a system of worship and faith. So when we talk about religion, we're referring to the system and worship of faith that's connected to a specific God. Y'all got me, right? So faith would be, and people ain't gonna like this, faith would be complete trust or confidence in a religion. It would have to be, because religion is where you get God at. The word faith can be generic. You can have faith in the government, right? But that's not a God. You can have faith in your wife. Hopefully, she ain't your God. But when we talk about faith in religion, we are talking about the belief in a God and the beliefs or the beliefs of the doctrines or the fundamentals or the disciplines. That's a better word, or whatever that is, right? So I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna read the quote they said. After you guys give me, what is your perception of religion and faith? What is your perception of it? And why would you think men need it and society need it, just generally speaking? Why do you think they would need it?
Well, I'll jump in real quick. I think faith, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, faith and the religion aspect brings some kind of order, some level of discipline that is needed for men to be able to not only exist but to thrive, I think, and be productive members of any society. um I feel like there's so many different values that you gain from a moral standpoint, you know learning things like humility, respect, love, kindness, forgiveness. Those different things are all part of, I think, that faith and that religion or religious conversation. And so I think if you build your society on those things, while nobody is perfect, you stand a chance of having a pretty good society, or in the words of our discussion, a community. um and I think you raise your children with those same morals and values, and generationally speaking, you kind of pass those things down. And I feel like when you have those things in place, you begin to see the fruits, you begin to see the positive aspects of having those kinds of discussions and those kinds of thoughts and beliefs.
I like that. And how about you, Steve? I hear a lot of good things about you, Steve, by the way. So, yeah, how you feel about that? I mean, what's your perspective of religion and faith and why men or society would need it?
So being that I do believe that I am a part of both, I rarely find myself using the words. And one of my things is I want to convey a message that is heard by as many people as possible. So, as much as we may say we don't care what people think about us, being a Christian, I automatically have to. I like the Charles Barkley quote, I'm not a role model. By default, by being here on this earth, you are a role model. As soon as someone sees you do a thing, that now gives that person freedom and liberty to do that same thing. They see it's now possible. They're exposed to it now, and you can't unexpose something. So by default, I'm already a role model. I'm already in that, but I don't use the words faith nor religion as much because I don't want to turn people off. And it's not that I don't want to turn them off because, oh, I don't want them to not like me. No, you can like me, not like me. That's indifferent. But in order for me to convey a message and to get you to open your ears, because many people will hear something and then immediately shut off. Oh, I don't like that person. Oh, I don't have anything they want that I want. They don't have anything that I want to hear, and they shut me off. So opposed to doing that, I kind of try to keep the lines of communication open. I am very, very easygoing, very free, and I connect with a lot of different people. So I really don't use the words, but do I believe in them? Oh, 100%. But
Yeah.
like Garrett said, you alluded to it earlier, especially when it comes to faith. With faith, people don't realize. I'm happy that you looked up the definition before you did anything, because definitions are everything in this world, because that is the standard. It now makes it easier for us to communicate with one another. If I count, 1 through 10, and you count, your numbers are different. If you have a different standard, you count from 10 to 1. We're not going to be on the same page. So at least by using the definition, we're on the same page. And many people have a different definition of faith and religion. But like you said, I do believe both are essential. Many people have faith in their job. Like you said, they'll go to work with the faith that they're going to get paid in 2 weeks.
Right.
Many people don't realize that they're already functioning in faith. But what they don't realize is that they haven't placed it, like you said, on anything in particular. But they're already using it. It's just like we're all capable of to be disciplined. We're disciplined at what we choose to be disciplined at.
That's
and it's
true.
just like this is one of those things where we have to be more intentional about what we put our faith in. We have to be more intentional about religion, because it's just like I'm not when it comes to the word religion, I'm not the biggest fan of it, because as soon as you use it, then everybody thinks, oh, there's so many different religions. There's Christianity, there's, Catholics, there's this, there's that. And it's just like immediately when we talk about it, most people separate. And for me and my purpose, nope, it's all together. We are all in the same boat, no matter what. So that's my thoughts on it. But do you need faith? Absolutely you do. And I'll say it like this, because you got the 4 topics there: perspectives, manhood, marriage, and community. Can you have those things without it? Yes. We see successful people all the time that don't believe in a God. We see successful people that all the time that don't believe in this in marriage or anything like that. So can you have it? Yes. But is it as fulfilling? That's where I step in and say, no, it's more than likely not fulfilling, because like you said, it's not rooted in anything. And my thing is having a fulfilling life. We all live a life, but we got some people that are happy with the life they live. We got some people that are not happy with the life they live. We got some people that have wound up in places, and we got some people that were determined to get to a place and they made it there. But you got some that were determined to get there, and they got there and they weren't happy about it. So we have to be more aware of who we are, what we created to be, what we were created to do. And then that's when all of those things to come together with faith and religion.
Right. And I agree with a lot of stuff both of you said. So I believe, because Garrett, you were touching kind of on structure, because you guys each touched on the different aspect of it. What I realize is that it provides a structure, because we have to understand complete confidence is, for me, the key to it. Because if you don't have structure, a man has no measurement of who he is. Because you just said who, you said what he's supposed to do, right? Or what he is, and the purpose that he has, what he's created to do. And I think what tends to happen is that if religion, you know what? Garrett has known me a long time. I don't say faith and religion a lot unless we get into a discussion about it. But one thing I realize is that I believe that men, when they hear the word religion, they reject it because they connect it with a system of something, right? But it's
Agreed.
usually a system that's contrary to something that they may believe. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Now, people can have whatever opinions they want about it, but I believe without it, Garrett, you said, we learn values, we learn respect, we learn love, we learn kindness. and we're able to build a society on top of this stuff. Because I would challenge anybody who says that they don't really believe necessarily in a religion. I would always challenge them, where did you get your ethics from? Where did you get your values from? Where did you get love from? Because most atheists weren't raised atheists. That's a fact. Okay. Most people who are atheists walking around here didn't start off as atheists. They became it, and they have a right to be that. So let me get into this quote that my frat brother said, because I think that this quote is the reason. It shows you how people perceive religion and faith. Okay. And the quote is, I think I sent it to you guys. Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by rulers as useful. And a philosopher, Seneca, said that religion is regarded by common people as true, by the wise as false, and by rulers as useful. You guys tell me how you take that comment and apply it to why I believe right now that society is in disarray, because men don't have the standards of religion and faith anymore. That we're getting further and further away from God in the society we live in, and maybe in the lives that we live. And as that happens, you can see the dissolution of a lot of the institutions we have on here, like manhood, like marriage, like mental health, like community. What do y'all think about that? Do y'all need me to read that quote again?
Nope, I got it. I'm looking right at it
Okay.
right now.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. Y'all chop it up about that. I'll share my perspective after I steal all y'all ideas. Go ahead. Y'all chop that up.
Well, again, I'll jump in. I think I'm going to start on the tail end of that quote, where
That's what I'm
rulers,
saying. I was
religion
to do
is
the
used
exact same
as,
thing.
yeah, like that would hit me from the tail end, that rulers find religion as useful. And I take it from a perspective of being able to manipulate a situation or people in a way for purposes of control, or to control a certain outcome, or to produce a certain outcome. And I think leaders, you could take it from, the world of politics to the world of preachers, or religious leaders. Throughout history, you can read, about various groups of people using religion for their own purpose, leaders using religion as for their own purposes. So I think it's interesting, because I think in today's world, a lot of people are being misled by leaders that are proclaiming themselves to be religious leaders. Whether it's they themselves don't follow the doctrine that they're teaching, or if they are misrepresenting the doctrine that they're trying to teach, or the religion that they're representing, to get a said outcome, whether it's a financial gain, whether it's more popularity or status or fame, whatever the case may be. These are all things that human beings, we struggle with anyway. But then when you put somebody in power that has the ability to manipulate, it's like, what do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely, or something like that.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So, right. So I feel like from that perspective, people have to start looking at who you are deeming as a leader, and if they're using religion in a way that is to uplift people, teach people, encourage people, help people live better lives, help people understand how you're supposed to treat each other. And if they're not measuring up to that, because they're not supposed to be perfect, but they are supposed to teach you in a way where you see it from the most, sober way possible. And if they're not doing that, then you need to kind of maybe shift your focus to somewhere else, or just start learning more on your own. Start trying to do more praying, more meditating, more, whatever you want to call it, for whatever people believe, but more introspection about what you believe, versus looking at it from what can some leader tell me about my faith or about a religion. And I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna pass it to Stephen, because I know there's more in there with the other 2 points, but I'm gonna stop there and pass it on.
Let's go, Steve.
So interesting
Good
that
job.
me
Good
and you
job.
both. So interesting that me and you both looked at it the opposite. Well, looked at it from the tail end first, and then worked our way
Yeah.
backwards. And I completely agree with a lot of what you said. I look at it from this standpoint: rulers as useful. So rulers tend to feel that they're outside of this thing. And whether they have resources, whether it be money, whether it be influence, whether it be power, they feel like they're outside of it. So many people that are in religion, are looked at it as, poor or anything like that, or lacking, or so
Mhm.
they need something. So they're reaching for something outside of them. And they may be white, right? They know that they need something outside of them. But with the rulers and the wealthy and the rich, and I don't want to just make it seem like it's about money, but those that are in power that have options, they feel like they're on the outside of it. So that they look at it as like they look at many things. I think that many of the elite look at everyone else as numbers. They look at everybody else like they look at the stock market. Everybody is a number, everybody is a statistic, and they're looking at how can I manipulate this to then take advantage of it or gain from it. So they play that game. Now when it comes to ethics and morals and things like that, they even sometimes feel like they're outside of that too. How many people in power have we seen, do things that they feel like they're
Yeah.
above the power or above the law? So they do what they want to do. They feel like they're on the outside of a lot of things that everybody else has to deal with. Then I'll jump back to the common people. That's true. Common people, not to say it like that, the masses, many people look at the masses as sheep. They don't think for themselves. So if you have the rulers on the outside and then you have everybody else on the inside, and a lot of people on the inside think that they need something outside of them, they kind of look to where those resources and things that they need come from. So that's why a lot of people look at the government. You know, a lot of people are looking at handouts. They're looking for something else outside of them,
And
and
don't
not
even get
me.
me started talking about that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You already said you had me more than. I'm pretty sure we'll be getting into that later on. But yeah, they're looking for a handout. They're looking for something, and so if the people on the outside think that they can provide that, they can then get manipulative with it. They can, they feed them this, they feed them that. They'll start to look their way and look this direction. So it kind of is misleading. Now um, the wise, I think the wise, they almost know too much. If you go back to, the story, of course, of Adam and Eve with the apple, we now know things that we were not ready to know yet. And so with
Mhm.
the wise, I feel like they may have gone too far in their quest for knowledge and searching. And what they may not have along with that is revelation. Without that revelation, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know what to do with it and how it's supposed to be used, you know, you kind of it puffs you up. So you kind of think you know better than, you think you know more than, and to the point where it puts you in a place where you can kind of dismiss certain things. So that's my view on those three things. But you did mention something at the very beginning. You were talking about the world and where the world is, and I've been saying this to many people that I've talked to for years now. There's an identity crisis going on in the world. No
Yeah.
one knows who they are. So because they don't know who they are, they don't know their purpose. And because they don't know their purpose, they don't know what they want. So they'll try
Mhm.
this and they'll try that and then they'll gain that and then they realize, oh, that's not what I wanted anyway. And then it's all of these hopes and reach and they're grasping for this and grasping for that, grasping for identity, grasping for wealth, grasping for knowledge. And it's like it's not rooted in anything. There is no faith, there is no religion, there's no foundation. So everything is off of their desires opposed to who are you?
Yeah.
I think one of the greatest things that me and one of my best
Yeah.
friends, he has a homeschool, he has a daycare, and with that homeschool, one of the biggest things he always says is, yeah, knowledge is needed, information is needed. Yes, you need to learn how to do math and arithmetic and reading and writing. Yes, but history, we talk about the history of this world, and it's just like the best history you can know is the history of you, the history of your family. What did my mother go through? What did my father deal with? What demons did they deal with? Once I know that, and I know what my issues and all of those things flow, now those other things can make sense. But those other things have no use to me if I'm struggling. If I got anxiety, if I deal with demons, and I deal with pornography, I deal with all of these things. If I don't know who I am and what my family and the ancestors behind me dealt with, none of that other stuff will even matter. I'll gain all the wealth. I'll gain all the knowledge. That's how you see wealthy people jumping out of, they killing themselves. They committing suicide. They doing all of these things because at the end of the day, they have no basis for who they are. That is
Yeah.
such a foundation
Hey
that
man,
is needed.
you're a pretty dope dude, man. I
Yeah.
guess the stuff I heard about you
Absolutely.
wasn't really lies then. Okay, I like I like that. Now, religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by rulers as useful. For me, the way I heard people talking about it, religion is the subject. of every one of these sentences. Like, they're taking a shot at religion. And what I've found is the commonality in both of your responses are the humans practicing the religion. And I think what tends to happen, the reason why men don't think that they need religion anymore is because they look at how religion is utilized instead of what religion is. How can I explain this? If I
Agreed.
give you, it's not guns that kill people, it's people. It's not
Yep.
drugs that kill people, it's the person overdosing on a drug. It's not the person, it's not the money that's evil, it's what it's the person holding the money. And I can go on and on and on and on. It's not the phone with social media that kills people, it's the person addicted to the social media. Y'all get what I'm saying, right? And what tends to happen
Yep.
is we're moving further and further from religion as men because we demonize religion instead of knowing that people just misappropriate it. All of this stuff is about how people misappropriate what is actually true. And I found that to be the hardest thing for people to understand is that when they could and when they connect religion to God, everybody has a problem with God. But when people just look at God for who he is, people tend not to have any issues with God. I found that to be because now what happens is the religion that people are rejecting or the faith that people are rejecting, these are disciplines. These are cornerstones of the household. These are cornerstones of manhood. These are the cornerstones of the community. And what we do is we demonize the disciplines of it. So if Mikhail, as a pastor, misappropriates religion, it now gives the guy in the back row he uses it to justify why he no longer wants to practice it, right? Because the
Right.
fidelity of religion is in the hands of God. The infidelity of religion is in the hands of a man. And I think the biggest mistake we make as men is that we expect, and even though we don't say this, to a certain extent, we expect humans to be divine because we preach a divine God, but yet we are human beings. And I found that this is the reason why we're starting to get away from religion. We're starting to be contrary to it. Because if I told people I'm a person of faith, they don't have an issue with me being a person of faith. They have an issue with me being religious. Am I right? Like the
Hmm.
average person does.
Agreed.
But what I encourage us as men is where else do we get? Where else actually? And I mean this as a honest question because I see it everywhere. Our music is degrading. It's terrible, right? I think we're more victims of bad culture than anything else as black people. I think we're more victims of bad culture than racism, in my opinion now. Okay. We're victims of bad culture. Where do men get their moral compass from? What institutions in society, besides the mosque? I'm not a Muslim, but them people be about some discipline. They're about taking care of their women. They're about taking care of their children. How they do that is how they do that. Besides the mosque, and I'm going to kind of come from a black perspective, and the church, where else do we get our morals from? That is my question. Because we squat on faith. And I'm not just talking about the church. We squat on God. We squat on religion. We squat on stuff like this. Where in the world is a man supposed to get his moral compass from? Because 70 to 75% of the households don't even have a father in it anymore. Where else would we get these morals and these standards and these virtues from? Help me out and help other people out who might watch this.
I'm gonna just say this real quick. I feel like as I've gotten older, y'all may agree or disagree, but the older I've gotten, I feel like people are more so trying to disprove that God exists or disprove religion or just disprove anything in that area versus being more accepting or at least inquisitive and trying to see, okay, is this real? It's more like, nah, this can't be real. Or, for example, I think as human beings, but specifically as men with our egos, it's hard to submit to something that you can't see per se physically, or maybe you can't.
Go ahead. He'll come back on.
Okay. Well, what you were talking about, the first word that came to my mind is perversion. And generally, when we think of perversion, we think of, not to say it like that, especially you said we are victims of bad culture. I think we think in culture wise, we always think, sexually. We always think that, somebody was, touched, somebody was abused, somebody was assaulted. That's what we, think about when we initially go to perversion. But the definition, like I'm going to keep with the theme of your show, of course, perversion. To alter something from its original course, meaning, or state to a distortion or corruption of what was first intended. That goes back to me in that talking about that identity crisis. When you don't know your creator and you don't know what you were created for, you will pervert the intended purpose of your creation. If I don't know who I am, I will be out here just living life, thinking I'm doing the best at what I want to do, not understanding that somebody came before me that placed me here and gave me an identity and gave me a purpose. But like you said, the world, we're getting so far away from God that we have no idea why we were created. And here's the thing. Let's say we even take God out of it. Let's just go to our parents. Some people don't even have the proper relationship with their parents to realize why they were created. And you also said it again with fathers. There are so many households that don't have a father actually in the household. I was one of those. So I grew up not knowing who I was as a man, not knowing what a man was, not knowing what a man was capable of, not knowing what a man was supposed to do. I had to learn those things later in life. And now I'm the dope individual that you call me now. But it took a man, to come into my life and love me, hug me, and sit me down and teach me. And I had to be willing to listen. I had to be willing to sit down and be under tutelage and learn, hey, he has something that I like. He has something that I want. He seems to be a great individual. He has a loving family, a loving wife. He seems to be doing something. And when I would see this gentleman, I would see him 2 times a week. But then I started to see him in between those 2 days a week, and he was the same person. And because he was the same person, I saw that consistency. He helped me to see that, oh my God, what I want is not far away from me. It's actually right here. I'm capable of doing all of these things that I actually want to do and I actually want to be. And once I realized that, changed my whole life. But I was born into a perverse situation. And because the situation wasn't set up properly, it wasn't done with proper structure, I then was perverted. I had a perverse mentality as far as who I was, what I was supposed to do, why I was here. And what did I do? I kept the same cycle going. I ended up doing a lot of the things that people would say I shouldn't have done. If I had knew what I knew now, I would have done them differently. Now, I'm thankful that I've done them the way that I've done them because it allowed me to be here. But that word perversion, man, that's what's happening when you say religion. You said when, I can say I'm a religious person and everybody's fine with it. But then when I bring up God, that's when there's a problem. And Garrett also alluded to it. He said that he thinks people spend more time trying to disprove. You know why you would spend your time doing that? Because you don't want to, you don't have the foundation to spend the time on who you actually are. So because you don't know who you are and you don't know how to get there, you will spend more time doing the exact opposite. And you know what that does then? You're trying to justify you being fine with where you are and what you're doing. If I make a decision and it's a bad decision, well, instead of me, if I knew who I was and I know I'm a man and I know what I have to do, I'm supposed to own up and be accountable to the decision that I made and live with the results for it, but then move forward the next time. But what do? Because we don't know who we are. We even though we know it's a wrong decision, what do? We double down on it. No, I made it. It's fine. I did it. And it's like we justify why we did it, but then the reason that we try to justify it is so that, or the way that we justify it is by pointing a finger at you. Well, no, Garrett, you did this and you did that, so I'm good over here. No, Mikhail, you did what you did over there, so I'm good over here. Never taking any accountability, never looking in the mirror. And that's how we're getting further from God, because God is the mirror. He is the standard. The reason you look up the definition is to give us a baseline of where we are. God is the baseline. And because the world is trying to remove God, we have no baseline. So now we're all off axis, all off kilter, and we're having a hard time getting back. We actually, I take that back. We're not even having a hard time getting back. We aren't even trying to get back. What are we doing? Trying to disprove that God even exists so we can justify what we
That's
are.
right.
That's right.
That's it.
Garrett, finish your point.
That's
You was
real.
talking about disproving God.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I got
not
cut
that,
off,
not
man.
that you're doing it, but yeah.
No. But yeah, to further that point, it just feels like people, and I don't know if it's a result of their own life situations and they feel like, hey, I've been believing for something all this time, or I've been trying to have faith and I'm not getting the results I'm getting, so God must not be listening, or maybe God is not real, or whatever the case may be for someone to take that route. But I like I said before, I've had personal conversations with people that's like, hey man, what you believe is not even real and it's not true, and here, look at this and look at that. But I've had too many personal experiences that have validated my own faith to let me know that he is, in my case, I'm a Christian, so God is real, Jesus is real. Like, I've had real life and death situations that have shown me, okay, yeah, this is a real deal. But then you have other people that may feel like, maybe certain things haven't happened to bring them to that realization. And then one of the other things y'all were saying, in terms of like the peer group, the influences, the family influences that we have, the friends, I think, Miguel, that's another area. If people say, well, I don't want to go to church, I don't want to go to the mosque, I don't want to look at religion, we would hopefully be able to at some point get a moral compass from those in our social groups. Hopefully there's someone in the social group that you can look to and say, man, every time this group is going left, this person is going right. Like, he on something different, you know what I mean? Or she's on something different, they on something different. Or, man, this one person in my family, when I talk to them about these real life situations, they always have an answer that it don't sound like what everybody else says, and it seems to work out for them. And I'm looking at their lives. So hopefully, to some degree, we can find those people within our lives. It could be even be at work, somebody that when you hear truth and when you hear that morality, you hear like, oh man, okay, that's great advice. Things like, it may not be a religious environment coming from a religious person, but God, and I believe God can speak through various situations in many different ways. And so opening ourselves up to listen, to be humble enough to hear those messages, to open ourselves up to talk to people that may have similar experiences, that have gone through things that we're now going through. I think those are ways we can pick up on those moral cues to help us find the path that we should be on.
Yes, and for me, it's important that when people watch this, one thing, as I get older, as I get older, I'm way more blunt than I used to be. And one thing, you may not like what I say, but you will understand what I say. And the
Mm.
issue I'm having right now as a man, and especially as a black man, that we have left God. I got to be honest about that. We have left things that bring structure. Like, we reject structure. Let's take it out of the religious setting. Okay? I have employees, they resist structure. They want to do what they want to do. Truth of the matter is, people want to work at home because they don't have no structure at home, right? You can do what you want to do when
Right.
you at home, and you can still do your job per se. I believe right now, as men, we do have to take a stance about what we actually believe. If I actually believe something, why do I believe it? Where do I get it from? And what got me about this definition of faith is that it says complete trust or confidence in something. Complete, okay? Because it's important that it be complete. So, like I said, if we all sit down and I put a Webster's dictionary in front of me, in between all three of us, for the most part, we would agree and we wouldn't doubt that the meanings of these words are what they're supposed to be. I'm talking about the average person, right? If I put a Bible, if I put the Torah, if I put the other book, the Muslim book. What is it called? I used to
The
be a Muslim.
Quran.
The
The
Quran.
Quran.
If we put all these books right here, now we're going to start to debate these books, right? Even to the extent that if the Quran says that a man needs to be faithful to his wife, I'm just saying hypothetically, Because we see a preacher who's unfaithful to his wife, we'll doubt that when that book says that we're supposed to be faithful to ours, now we'll say, well, he not doing it, so I'm not going to do it. So now we don't believe the book because of the action of the man. Y'all get what I'm saying? And this is what's aggravating me, because Steve mentioned role model. I agree with him. You're a role model whether you want to be or not. People are either going to follow you the right way or they going to follow you the wrong way. I don't care if you talk. I believe what you talking. I believe people follow what you do. They follow who you are. And I believe that because we have left faith, we have left religion, we have also left manhood. We have also left the sanctity of marriage. I'm not talking about in its perfection, because again, the foundation of Christianity is we expect the men who teach us about God to be perfect like God, which is false. The Bible does not even teach that. But our expectation of how close a man should be to God is the reason why we can't believe that that man is with God, even though as an aspect of him that's not like God. Do y'all get what I'm saying? The human part of that person tends to make people God aversive. They don't want to be with God because of the man, and it causes them to keep looking outward instead of looking inward. And this is what I have an issue with, because now role models are rappers. You know, role models are entrepreneurs, which is not which is not a problem. Okay, role models are women who dress half naked. Role models are women who show their breasts and who show their booties, and they make money off that. We live in an age where the more you show, the more you grow. Y'all feel me, right? That's just where we are. And then to compound that, people don't want to believe in faith and religion because of the color of the people that they assume presented religion to black people. And y'all know what I'm talking about. That's a whole nother discussion. All I'm saying is what we have done is we have, whenever you leave something, you have to be going to something. So the question is if we've left faith and religion, what are we going to? That is my question for men. Men who look like me, white men, black men, Puerto Rican, Filipino, blue, Martian from the moon. If we as men are leaving faith and religion and God, what are we walking to? What actually are we going to? So for men who don't believe in God, who don't believe in religion, who don't believe in faith, my question would be, what do you believe in then? I would have to ask that question, correct?
Yes, you're very good in asking that question. You have to ask that question. It's where we